When Pakistan's President Musharraf declared the emergency, he denounced the judiciary for weakening the fight against extremism and terrorism, and in order to defend Pakistan from the militants, he said he had to suspend the constitution. In an address to the nation, Musharraf defended his actions by citing the man who some people have called the first American dictator.
As an idealist, Abraham Lincoln had one consuming passion during that time of supreme crisis, and this was to preserve the Union, because the Union was in danger. Towards that end, he broke laws, he violated the Constitution, he usurped arbitrary power, he trampled individual liberties. His justification was necessity.
Joining me to assess these recent developments is Aijaz Ahmad, senior news analyst for The Real News. Aijaz, maybe President Musharraf has a point. If the militant activity in the northwest frontier provinces, the other areas of Pakistan where Al-Qaeda and the Taliban forces are clearly seem to be getting stronger and more active, there's reports they're moving even more into the center of Pakistan. If the Supreme Court was about to undo Musharraf's election as president and throw Pakistan into a political turmoil, does Musharraf have a point?
I would say that fight he has to fight with the army, and he was doing that, and he could have continued to do that had there not been the political turmoil. And part of the turmoil is that the United States was trying to put together a deal in which Musharraf would stay as president, as well as to put Benazir Bhutto as the democratic face, whereas the Constitution of Pakistan says that nobody who has been Prime Minister of Pakistan twice, which Benazir has been, can be Prime Minister again.
There was an important meeting took place just before martial law with the top American military commander. What is it thought that was about?
Well, Admiral Fallon was in Pakistan the day before the emergency was declared, and Admiral Fallon is the man in charge of Central Command, which covers Pakistan. So he's the highest military official in that region. It is most unlikely that he did not know firsthand what was going to happen the next day. Similarly, what interests me very much is that while all kinds of democratic noises are coming from the State Department, the Pentagon statement has made it absolutely clear that none of this is going to have any impact whatsoever on military cooperation as well as the aid package that Pakistan is receiving. Musharraf knows that the situation in Afghanistan is so bad that the US has to rely on him. Meanwhile, they have raised the temperature so high with Iran that the role that Iran had played on the American side in bringing Karzai to government, to form the government, Iran cannot play that role any longer and shall not play that role any longer.
There's been some thought that one of the reasons that Musharraf hasn't waged a more vigorous campaign against the Taliban and Al-Qaeda is that there's a lot of sympathy for those for Islamic fundamentalist beliefs in the army, in the ISI, and that if he really wages what you described as a rather full-scale, brutal campaign, he may lose support within the ISI and army.
The very northwestern Pakistan today, which is the home of the militancy against which the US is fighting, was the area of Pakistan where there were no Islamic militants when the Americans waged the jihad in Afghanistan and created this militancy. The Pakistan army was sent in to support all of that, and they did so for some 10 years or so. In that process, there was a very great deal of reverse indoctrination. A Pakistan army, which was not Islamicist at all, became Islamicist by fighting the American war and creating this immense jihadi machine in Afghanistan. The other is that a lot of Pakistani officers and many others, even in civilian establishment, believe that they have strategic interests in Afghanistan. And they're very angry that when the Taliban were out, the United States put the Northern Alliance essentially as the core element of the Karzai government. There are many elements in Pakistan which are very sympathetic in the Pakistan army, which are very sympathetic to the Taliban, not only just ideologically or even ideologically at all, but because they perceive that they have their own strategic interests